Hi there, Sandra here from the Schwowin's Nest. Thanks for stopping in today. I have always been a country girl at heart, although I've always lived my life in the city. And so I'm in love with farmhouse decor, and I love to share my passion with the world. So you will find a lot of thrift store flips with wood products on my channel in a farmhouse decor style. This wooden crate is made out of pine and it's super heavy. This is something that has been in my home for a really long time. It was a thrift store find years ago. It ended up just being buried in the basement, and I thought, you know what, it is time to pull it out and start making it look like something I would love to have in my home instead of hiding it in the basement. The color that I'm using here is an old mist tint of paint that I picked up for $8 at a hardware store. And I haven't used it yet. I've had it for a while as well, but I decided to break out this color. It's sort of a beigey gray, and it's just a latex paint. But I'm going to be doing some other treatments to this crate to make it look old and vintage. I just gave this one coat, and this is the color. It's a nice color, I like it, but I would never leave it this way. So I'm going to use some coarse grit sandpaper and just rough up all the edges and the sides, get a little of the regular wood showing through, but then the next step is really going to bring out the sanding marks that I'm doing here. I'm using Bare Dark Wax, and this is something that I've had for a little bit. I've tried it on a few projects, and I really do like the way it looks. I'm using a soft rag, and I'm grabbing quite a bit of the wax because I want this to look old and dirty and antiqued, and that's exactly what the wax is supposed to do. I'm so excited to be participating in a collab today hosted by Yvonne over at GingerChickRehab. Yvonne does everything farmhouse. I love her channel. I love her thrift hauls and her makeovers and her trash to treasure. If you haven't seen it, go check her channel out. Her co-hosts this month is Diane and Janny from DecoEasy. They also do some amazing decor, some thrift finds, DIYs. Please make sure you go check out both their channels. Subscribe if you haven't already, watch some of their videos, and tell them I sent you. So here's what it looks like antiqued with the brown wax, but I'm going to take it a step further, and I'm going to use some black chalk paint and dry brush over it, make it even more dirty, more vintage, more old looking, and to bring out a little bit more of some of the grain in the wood. This DIY challenge today is called a secondhand DIY challenge. So the first part is to find something secondhand or that you've thrifted or has been hanging around your house forever, like my crate. And the second part of it is to use an animal in it. So of course I love farmhouse, so there wouldn't be anything less than adding some kind of farm animal and some farmhouse sayings. I'm going to be using a couple of Jilliebean soup stencils that I got from Joann Fabric and Crafts. The link to that is down in my description box. And this one says farm fresh eggs laid daily, but the stencil is a really long. You can see at the top of the screen that the laid daily is hanging right off the crate. So I'm just moving the stencil around and placing it in a way that everything is going to fit. So just because you have a big stencil doesn't mean you have to put it on the way it is on the stencil. You can move the stencil around and fit it into whatever size area you have. Here's what I'm talking about. I'm taking the chicken and moving it over to the other side of the crate because I want to have the chicken on it, but it just isn't going to fit on this size of crate. So I'm going to do the same thing with my makeup sponge and my DIY black chalk paint. Now I'm going to be stenciling the words laid daily right underneath the farm fresh eggs towards the bottom. And now I've got the whole stencil on my crate, but just not in the exact form that the stencil is in. On the other side of the crate, I'm going to use fresh produce locally grown. The fresh is going to be on the top slat of the crate, and then produce and locally grown, I'm going to move the stencil down and make it fit on the bottom slat of the crate. Basically the same idea as I did for the first side of the crate. I'm moving the stencil around to make it fit the space I have. Please make sure you go check out the playlist. It's in my description box. I'm sure you'll get tons of inspiration from all the YouTube creators that are going to be making over their items. If you don't have this stencil and you don't have any stencils at home at all, there are a couple of different ways that you could get this image onto your project. The first would be to find a free printable online, print it out on computer paper, and then just trace the letters onto your project. Another way would be to simply cut out the letters on your computer paper and use some Mod Podge or DecoEasy glue and glue them right onto your project. Of course, if you have a Cricut, you can either make a vinyl decal or make the stencil itself. For my projects, I like to use this Minwax water-based polyacrylic. It's a protective finish and I always get the clear matte. I don't want any gloss or anything on my projects. I'm also going to use a brand new brush, and when I'm done with this brush, I'm going to actually label it with my label maker, and I'm going to put polyacrylic on the handle so I know that this is the brush that I will always use for my top coats. Here's a look at how my crate turned out. I just adore it. And the person that I'm gifting it to has seen it just in a picture and she loves it too. I'd like to thank Yvonne, Diane, and Jenny for hosting this challenge. It was a lot of fun. If you like what you saw, I would love for you to hit that red subscribe button and the blue bell to get notified when I upload new content. Thanks for watching.